Hi, everybody. So happy that you're joining me here today for my presentation. And thank you so much for LinkedIn Local Virtual for inviting me as well. I'm excited to be here, actually. And today, the topic I'm going to be speaking about is how to use social selling in recruitment. And, social selling is such a buzzword. It's such a word that means so many different meanings. What I'm really going to show you today is how we can start to create community, create a brand where candidates and recruitment is going to be easier for you, especially with the challenges that we're facing today. So with that being said, let's get into it. For those who I haven't had the pleasure of talking to or meeting with, my name is Mick Griffin. I'm head of growth here at TRAFFIT. And what does that mean? That basically means my job is to try to actually grow the company through not only sales and marketing, but I'm also overlooking exactly how we work as a brand when we are recruiting and our marketing presence. And I'm very lucky that I've got to work on the Polish market for the last 15 years in technology. I'm going to be sharing all of that lovely old man wisdom with you today. Now I'm going to give you a teaser. What's one of my last slides going to be? It's going to be this one, which is that TRAFFIT actually holds $31,000 worth of talent through its recruitment processes. Now, that's not our customers. That's TRAFFIT itself as a brand recruiting for its own company. And I'm going to show you today how we can do that for you. So many of us see recruitment as a cost, as something that we don't want to do. But I'm going to show you actually today, one of my teasers is, I'm going to show you actually, you can show how it's a value for your business. So let's get into it. And what I do is, I like to start every presentation the same way. I want to talk to you first about challenges. Why are we even talking about this topic? Why have I been so lucky to be invited? The answers are simple. The first one, candidates are expensive. They're more expensive than they've ever been before. So when you open that new role, and you want to attract a candidate and you haven't been able to build this up in any way before, you're actually paying year on year, the cost of candidates is growing like 40%. Even in 2021, it got all the way up to $28 on average in the tech market alone. So this means that we have to adapt. The second challenge that we have today is candidates are moving faster than ever. The average candidate that's qualified for a position that you're hiring for, when that candidate decides, yeah, okay, I'm thinking I'm going to be open to a new role now, they're on the market for just 10 days before they're receiving an offer. So if your recruitment process is 20, 30, 40 days, you've really got your back against the wall, and you either have to be amazing at all the other things, or you're going to have to think, how can we speed up? How can we move faster? And then we get to our lovely social selling element of today, which is candidates now communicate. So 72% of job seekers actually share negative experiences online when they were in a recruitment and they didn't like it. So that's 7 out of 10 candidates that got rejected or didn't get the job. If they actually feel that it wasn't fair or something was against them, they're now posting it online. And this is a brand new thing for all of us. We are adapting to this. But this is all coming from frustration and challenges that we actually see that candidates are experiencing. So right now we can see that candidates are sharing tweets just like this one, that they applied for 174 jobs, and actually 80% of those jobs that they applied for, they didn't even get a response. This really matters. Now, the thing that's missing from this tweet is the name of the 174 companies. And that works for us as recruiters a little bit, right? Because candidates are still a little bit afraid of saying who gave them the negative experience, but it's changing and we have to care. Morrison's, which is a grocery chain in the UK, is actually getting tweets like this way. It's like, and this is crazy because this is not even the person that applied for the job, it's a family member. My young niece put her heart and soul into an interview and they turned her down the next day and never gave her any feedback. This tweet now not only means that the candidate had a negative experience, but their entire family and social circle is now going to see this as a negative. Even at the extremes, there is professional footballer Alphonso Davies, who when he won the Super Cup, he actually tweeted, "Hey, by the way, McDonald's, I applied to work for you a few years ago, but you never called me back." This actual story can be found on most news outlets around the world. Yeah, so this is really important because of this statistic. 55% of job seekers avoid companies after reading negative reviews. That's a huge deal. And I want you to think about it in this terms. Basically, imagine that you do a great job of employer branding, of candidate attraction, and you get 100 views on your job advertisement. You just lost 55 of those views because of a negative response from a previous experience. It's super, super important for us now as recruiters that we have to understand that candidates have a voice and it's affecting our workload. Now, the thing is none of you watching this today are strangers to this scenario. We have TripAdvisor. Yeah, we use it. We check what people are saying on restaurants, if they reviewed the food, if they liked it or not. And this is now developing and adapting. We have Clutch where we can leave our reviews for developments and agencies and so on. And now we even have the likes of Glassdoor and GoWork where we can start to review our employers. Candidates have voices. Now, some of you will be watching this going, you know what? Yeah, so we know this already. Restaurants have been doing this for 50 years. It's not true. And I love this story. I always throw it in there, which was in 2014, an elderly couple in the UK went to a hotel in Blackpool. And they didn't like their experience. They came back and they gave it 1 star on TripAdvisor. The next day, £100 was taken from their credit card. And they were like, oh, it must be a mistake. They called the hotel and they said, hey, listen, what's going on? You overcharged us. Can you refund the money? And the hotel said, no. In our terms and conditions, if you leave a negative review of our business on TripAdvisor, we can actually fine you £100. So trust me, what's happening in this scenario, what you're seeing now in recruitment, businesses have always tried to resist the power of consumers, of candidates. But now what we can see is that the early adopters of restaurants and hotels on TripAdvisor, they were the winners. The late adopters were the losers. So we don't want to be the late adopter when it comes to recruiting. Don't be the last company to actually go, okay, fine, candidates have voice, we're going to listen to them. No, be the first one. And if you needed any more kind of convincing of this, candidates are not only candidates. So in 2014, in the same year of lovely TripAdvisor, Virgin Media, which is a cable internet provider in the UK, they did a survey of all the candidates they'd rejected from their jobs throughout the year. And it turned out that 18% of the candidates rejected were actually Virgin customers at home, and 6% of those people cancelled their contracts with Virgin after having a negative experience with Virgin as a brand. So ironically, having a poor recruitment experience for a company cost them £4.4 million in revenue. So we know this. We know that these are the whole tough challenges that I'm hoping will keep you tuned in for what we're going to talk about today and all the other amazing speakers. Now, they're the hot challenges. They're the fresh ones. Let me talk about the consistent ones now. This is the biggest problem we face in recruitment that is never going away. Companies are not always hiring when candidates get to them. Candidates are not always changing jobs when companies want to hire them. Timing is not our friend in recruitment, and many of us have found this really difficult to develop because of this. We tend to treat recruitment processes as a definitive start point and a definitive end point. Okay, we need to fill this role. Let's go out. Let's get our job board ad. Let's start talking to consumers. Let's start talking to candidates. And then when we're hired, when we fill the role, great, job done, on to the next role. Or maybe in some companies, they won't hire for a number of months. This is a huge problem because our candidates in the market actually feel this. And apologies for my graphic here, because I really wanted to show this in a visual sense for you to understand. What I've done here is we have to remember that when timing is not on our side, our brand affection. So what this basically means is the connection between your company and that candidate. It goes up and down right now. That's how the market works. When we want to hire someone, we're giving them time, we're giving them energy, we're showing them videos of the office, we're doing all these cool things. And if we don't hire them at that moment, that brand affection starts to decrease because we stop talking to those candidates. We stop doing things around attracting them. Now, the red marker on this graph I'm showing you is actually when the candidate was changing job. And we have this huge risk that every time at the timing when a candidate wants to change the job, we might be, as an employer, at our lowest moment in time with that brand affection. And that candidate takes a different job because they don't remember, they don't care that a year ago you said thanks for applying. We've let that relationship slide. And this is a big problem that we have. Now, the flip side of this is that 92% of candidates that we don't hire at the time of a job are related to time-orientated situations. So let me give you an example. Let's say we couldn't hire a candidate at the time because they didn't have enough experience in that specific field. In a year from now, that candidate is most likely to have more experience because they went and got a different job, or they started their own agency, or they started to be a consultant, or they started to be a blogger, whatever it may be. By default, time usually equals more experience. Or a candidate says, hey, listen, I can't take a job with you today, Mick, because we are not on the same page in terms of salary expectation or remote work expectations. Those things change over time. People's salary expectations don't always go up. Sometimes they go down when people actually start to value other things. So 92% of people who don't work for you today or don't take a job for you today, they have a chance of working for you in the future. Yet many of our situations are normally when we can't hire someone right now, we let them go. What we want to build, and what I'm going to start talking to you about in a second, is continuous brand affection that goes with our candidates. So even when we're not hiring, we are going to keep building so that when they are ready to take the next job, 6 months later, a year later, 5 years later, we want to be right there with them saying, hey, remember, we're here, we're TRAFFIT, we still want to be with you now that your experience has grown. So let's talk about some solutions. And my goal today is I'm going to give you a lot of small tips, a lot of advice, and I'm not trying to rock your world. I'm not going to try to game change anything. What I want to do is I want to give you a couple of things that you might have forgotten about or that you haven't tried yet. So let's get into the solutions part now we've talked about all the problems. First one, these are a lot of these things are things that I'm stealing from sales. Sales have done this for a number of years. Marketers have done this for a number of years, and we are now seeing this in recruitment. One of the key things is know who you want to hire. Yeah. And what I'm calling this is to build an ICP. Now, luckily, in sales and recruitment, that means the same thing. In sales, it's an ideal customer persona. You may have heard this word, this terminology. We have the same thing in recruitment, an ideal candidate persona. Yeah. Let's know who we want to hire, the kind of person, the kind of values. And why is that important? When I go to recruiters and when I'm checking the market, in fact, everyone is overloaded. I don't have time. I have so many candidates. I have so many feedbacks to give. The best part about having an ideal candidate persona is knowing who you don't want to hire. This is vital. Being okay and not appealing to everyone. If someone says I got 500 applications for that job, I see that as a disaster because we have to really work with those 500 candidates. What we need to do when we know who we want to hire, we get to turn some people off. We get to say things that some people won't like. And I'll give you a prime example. There was a really great topic lately on LinkedIn about, oh my goodness, there shouldn't be jobs that are called customer support ninjas. There shouldn't be customer support heroes, customer support superstars. These buzzwords are terrible. Now, of course, on the surface, we could say, yes, okay, it's a little cheesy, whatever. But let me contradict that, because if in your company, your existing customer support people love being the customer support ninjas, and let's say that you know the best kind of personality to fit in your business will be other people who find the word customer support ninja cool and funny. Forget what the rest of the market thinks. You don't need to follow the overall trend. Pick things that are actually ideal for you and your company. So let me give you an example. Who is your ideal candidate? This is a question we should be asking. And I can only give you an example from myself here, which was, I got reached to lately where someone was like, Mick, I'm working for a startup. I'm super interested in what you've got going on. Would you be interested in a job? And I said, hey, listen, the best thing for me is if we start talking about details about salaries and stuff before we start talking about interviews and tasks and so on, because let's find out if we're even on the same page. And you know what happened? That recruiter didn't reply. They stopped talking because I hadn't followed the pathway that they wanted. We were a mismatch in terms of culture. I wasn't the right kind of candidate for them. However, for example, on LinkedIn, when people send me voice notes, I love it. And I reply back instantly, and I have great conversations with people who send me voice notes. And the reason for that is because I love the ability to consume communication when I have time. Trying to pick a time in my calendar is a nightmare. So this is only me, but what I'm giving you here is an example of the fact that all candidates are different. And once you understand who your ideal candidate is, you can start to do many things that are connected to them. Let me give you an example. Content consumption. Your ideal candidate, if you're hiring an IT back-end developer architect, it's very likely that they don't really want to consume communication or content on the phone. They might really like videos or blog posts. That we have to learn more about them. Where do they hang out? Which platform? Should we talk to them on LinkedIn, or is LinkedIn the last place they're going to be and we're going to go catch them on GitHub, or we're going to catch them on Twitter? Where do they go for knowledge? How do they learn? How do they like to learn? What days do they like to hear and talk about jobs? Some people at 5 p.m., not only do they switch off from their jobs, they switch off from thinking about work and life, professional life totally. Where some other people, they love job searching and looking at the opportunities on the market on Saturdays and Sundays. You should know which one is for you so that you can focus your attention, your energy on them. What are their pains and concerns, and what are their culture priorities? These are key, because if we're not solving people's problems, we are never going to get them on board as a potential candidate. So the first step I had was create a candidate persona. The second one was to stop talking about yourself. Be aware of the we. Is something that I say a lot, which is if your email address is anywhere on the internet, you get emails like this. Hey, Mick, I'm from this company. We do this and this. We can help you with this and this. And you're like, they're instantly showing me that they don't know anything about me and that they only know how to talk about themselves. Now, the challenge we've got with this has now gone over into jobs, into recruitment. Like, LinkedIn has a beautiful part of their job posting, which is about the job, and so many companies ignore it and talk about themselves. You know, here, we are a global experience services and technology company with 280,000 employees. I'm here to find out what you're hiring for, not about you. That here, we've got this. We are 98 million active users and 22 countries. What's the job? How much does it pay? What's important? What's the career path? Who am I reporting to? We are not actually putting what's important first. We are talking about ourselves. And sometimes what this means is we don't know enough about the candidate, so we are just talking about ourselves. Yeah. You know, Get Response is a great company, and some of their job advertisements start with, you know, Get Response was started in 1998 by an 18-year-old Simon Grabowski, which is true. But it's not what's going to make me apply for the job today. If they were attracting me, potentially there is a type of candidate out there that does appeal to this. But what we really want to look for is what is about us. And here was a prime example of a company that literally goes out and says, this is what I do. This is the company. This is the role we are applying for. And these are your responsibilities. Now, that kind of nice, fluffy history stuff about your company, it's not that it's not important, but put it lower. Let suck candidates in, yeah? We've got to solve the problems. So let's talk about candidates and let's think about their journey and what they want. Number 3 is to solve problems. Solve a problem really well. This is our goal. Now, when I look through job descriptions and job postings on LinkedIn and on various job boards, we see a lot of similarity in the things that we are offering, the things that we think we are solving, yeah? So fully remote work, that's important to a lot of people. So, but there are other things out there, like the opportunity to work in a team and company that recognizes success. Is that really what, did I wake up today going, I just wish I was in a company that would recognize me in their team? And that's what we've got to ask ourselves. Sometimes we share too many things because we don't know what to say, yeah? Being in a cool team. Again, we've got another one here. Flexible hours. Is that something that people care about? Yeah. We've got other ones where this is really interesting. Like you get a welcome pack if you join our company. Well, yeah, that's not why I'm taking the job. I'm not taking the job today because I really wish I had that next company hoodies. Now, by the way, I love company hoodies, but still, we've got to pitch things that solve people's problems. What are they afraid of? What do they need? You know, I use this one a lot, which is like, we offer a laptop. Now, if this is a tech-orientated role, which it is, try doing the job without a laptop. Yeah, we can't just throw everything out there hoping that somebody will find it valuable. We've done our ideal candidate persona. Now let's put it into practice. And it's rarely only salary. We think that people's problem is they want to earn more money, but let's look at the statistics. Yes, salary is the most important thing for people in a job, followed by lack of progression, poor company culture, work-life balance is out of whack, boring daily routine. Now think to yourself, in your company, do you solve one of those things really well? If you do, let's pitch it early. Have unique selling points. So some companies like at TRAFFIT, one of our unique selling points is that we have salary transparency and development paths. In Zoe, they have great investors. In Proudly, they have fantastic team interactions where they feel as part of a team. Get Response, they have great progression in terms of this is where your next salary is going to be. They show people. You've all got very unique things in your company that really your existing employees like, but you hide behind, we offer flexible working hours and no dress code. No, even showing how recruitment's going to work is a uniqueness that people can use. Then what we need to do, we need to start talking. Using great platforms like LinkedIn to start talking about those values and actually putting them out there. These are just examples of me talking about things like vacation days are important to take, saying that I value that I don't need 20 candidates for every role. So those values that you decided on our previous points and knowing your candidates and what matters to them, you start to talk about them and start to put them out there. Because remember, your future candidates are going to want to Google you. They're going to want to check you. They're not going to only rely on what you tell them. So what's out there in the internet and on places like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, it's vital. You even get to use these platforms to show your relaxed side, your flexible side. So here, for example, at TRAFFIT, we launched a video where our team dressed up as Ghostbusters. I'm happy that will turn some people off who go, oh, TRAFFIT isn't very formal. That's okay, because that matches my team and our culture. In the same way that you also want to duplicate this. I'm very lucky at TRAFFIT that I've got a number of team members, all the way up to the CEO, who want to share the same thing, and we talk about this a lot. Then number 6 is that you have to start creating journeys now. We know what we want to say. We started to say it. Think if your journey has dead ends. It's really important. Some companies, and I use Get Response a lot because I love them and they're my former employer. We all put great advice, great effort and finance into fantastic office spaces, making things really impressive. Wow, I'd love to work in that company. And then sometimes we get to this page, which is, hey, yes, work with us wherever you are. Oh, we don't have any vacancies. Come back later. It's terrible. It's such a waste because you've created that anticipation. Oh, I'm going to go and look. And now you have no idea if your employee branding is working because we've hit a dead end where somebody can't show us anymore. So we've got to allow people avenues to show us like, yeah, I want to keep learning from you. For example, send us your resume. This is an easy one. Having a live chat on your career page is another easy one. At TRAFFIT, we do something called Future Starts, where you say, hey, listen, I know you're not hiring for HR today, but I'm going to throw you my application anyway for the future. So what can we learn? What can we achieve and develop when we are not hiring? Well, there's a ton of stuff. Not only if we can't hire someone today, let's get them to say that they want to work for us tomorrow. If we don't achieve that, let's find out what matters to them when they are actually recruiting, what makes them pick a job. What is their reason for choosing their existing role, their existing employer? There's lots of things we can take from this. And one of the things we do at TRAFFIT to keep that journey going is we create communities. So for example, we created something called TRAFFIT Talent, which means all the people that are interested in future jobs at TRAFFIT, they can sign up and they can get our newsletter. And we send this every 4 to 6 weeks. And this is nothing new. We stole this idea, obviously, from sales and marketing. We've been doing this for our customers for years. Can we now do this for our candidates? And it works. And we send those emails every single month to build value, to develop with them. We even set them up super easily using tools like Zapier and GetResponse, who are actually made to make sending emails really easy. When you have those kind of communities, you've got to create unique value. So for example, in TRAFFIT Talent, one of our unique values is we tell that community about open jobs before we tell the regular market. So if you're in TRAFFIT Talent, you're going to find out about the next marketing job, the next sales job, the next HR job, 4 or 5 days before we post that anywhere else online. So we've got to make them feel valuable. We've got to give them things that other people can't get. We obviously need to make those communities super easy to get out of. Make sure you have unsubscribes on all your newsletters, etc. But we've got to make people feel like they have a choice. Now, this is one step. One step is newsletters. What's great about this now is that there are no rules. We can create as many more steps in that journey as we want. And one example is at TRAFFIT, we have TRAFFIT Connect, which is every month now in a different city in Poland. We invite our candidates and our customers to come and sit, meet us in person, have a drink, eat some food. This is a unique value that we like. And if we like our candidates, we like employees in most of our roles that are charismatic, they are not afraid of new people. So if somebody comes to TRAFFIT Connect and meets us, and then I'm hiring 2 months later, I'm going to remember them and they've got to build that journey with me and me with them. We also make our culture book available to download. It's not only for our employees in our company. You can download it as a potential candidate and you can read it and see if TRAFFIT is on that journey with you. And again, we are building that brand affection. We even run webinars now for our candidates so that they can learn also to be how to be better on the job market. And there are plenty other steps that you can do that I haven't mentioned today, such as running the meetups. You can have Ask Me Anything sessions with the CEOs. You can run a podcast. The key is, once you know your candidates, communicate with them in a way that matches both them and you as a culture. And remember that our goal is to help candidates solve the problems and pains that they have. So even at TRAFFIT, we go to the extreme level of, hey, listen, if we can't hire you, here are some great jobs on the market that you might enjoy. Because we know that if someone's looking for a job and I can't hire them, the next best thing I can do is try to find them a different job or connect them. And why are these steps in the journey really important? It's because even in sales, the average number of connection points you need with a lead to make it a sale is 5 or more. Yet in recruitment, we are still really, really guilty of, hey, do you want a job? No? Okay, bye. Hey, listen, we've got a job. Are you interested? No, sorry. We are way too hot and cold, off and on, where what we need to do is build consistent journeys. Now, time for the recap. I've gone way over my time, so I really appreciate the team for this. Hopefully they pay me on fast forward. The key, we want to build that brand affection with our potential candidates because they are going to change roles over time. And the worst thing that can happen is that they don't remember you or your company in any way. The candidate is not just a candidate. They are also a potential customer, potential ambassador. Here, one of my best stories ever is I had a candidate that I rejected for a sales role, and he was nice enough to invite me and my family to his new home for a barbecue. And I'd rejected him because we have this open door opportunity that I never know the value I will take from that person in the future. We also ask every person that applies for a future role, why did they apply? And they are telling us, giving us advantage, like, we like what you're saying. What your team is posting online is really actually having an effect on us. And even today, before the presentation, we found this one that someone said, I'm applying because you have Kasia and Anna, of course. They're awesome. I love what they post on LinkedIn. So it just shows it's proof of concept. Now, I gave you a spoiler at the beginning of the presentation. How TRAFFIT actually now sees this work as generating an asset, not a cost. The average cost per candidate on the market for IT, for example, is $28. Over the time since we've started our TRAFFIT Talent, Future Talents, we've got 1,112 candidates who applied and stayed in that talent pool. Each candidate has saved me $28 I would have had to pay on a job board or to an agency to get those candidates to come to me. Therefore, the total value of that asset of our recruitment team at TRAFFIT is $31,000. And when I open my next 10 roles, that's where I'm going. I'm not going spending money outside of my ecosystem. Thank you so much for staying with me during this live presentation. And sorry for going over the time. My name is Mick Griffin. I would love to both hear from you in the comments, in the chat now. I'm going to jump out of my presentation. I'm going to jump in there and have a chat. If any of the things I've said didn't make sense or you want to challenge any of them. And of course, if you're already jumping into your next presentation in a few minutes, you can find me on LinkedIn and please reach out and let's discuss recruitment more. Thanks again, everybody.